Good afternoon. Uh, my name is Ray, or Raymond. For those of you who don't know me, early on I was Raymond so much, but everybody calls me Ray now. Jerry was my uncle, and I've been asked to speak about his life today. You might say I've been given the privilege to speak about his life today. And when I was first asked to speak about it, James can tell you I was a little hesitant. I've never done this before. How do you sum up a person's life in just a few minutes? But I'm going to give it a try, maybe hit some high spots, maybe tell about some things that you already know. First thing I'd like to do before I started to do that is to express my gratitude and the family's gratitude for each and every one of you that have come here today to celebrate his life. When I first heard the news of Jerry's passing, the first thing that came into my mind was the vision of my cousin James standing in Jerry's driveway. He was waiting for the hospice worker, I suppose. My thoughts went to the sadness that he must have been feeling when I saw him, and I didn't even know. And my thoughts went to the rest of the family, to Joan and to Mark and Jerry and Joe and their families, and the emotions that must have been tearing at them at the time. And I thought some about the path of healing that they were going to have to take to fill that void of the loss of a father and a husband. But then my thoughts turned to another issue. I'm a Christian, and I believe that there's more to this life than what we're living here today. I believe that when we leave this world, we're going one of two places, and we're going to be there for eternity. I talked to James the next day, and James told me, he said, Ray, I talked to Dad sometime back when he was at the hospital, Tallahassee, I believe, in Tallahassee. And he told me that he knew Jesus. And, he knows that he knows. And that, to me, is comfort. So to Joan and to Mark and Jerry and James and Joe and to everybody else that can hear my voice here today, know this, that you can take comfort in knowing that where Jerry is, there's no pain and there's no sorrows, and there's no hardships. There's only the love of Christ and the new life that he gives you. But I'm not here to talk about Jerry's passing. I'm here to talk about the life that he led. It was in the summer of 1942, I believe it was, that he was born. The good old days, hard work, hunger, no air conditioning, no heat. I don't know why they call them the good old days, but you had to walk everywhere you went pretty much when you were young. It was a time when people were born and men had to be men at a young age. It was a time that you had to be tough. Life made you tough, and he was. He was born into a family that would become 16 in number, and that's not even to mention all the strays that Grandma and Grandpa picked up over the years. Somebody new would be there just about every time we came around, and they took care of them. You think it's hard living in a family of 4? Try 16. But that must have been something special to be a part of that. I can remember the family reunions, all the aunts and uncles and the cousins. It was great. And Jerry added to that. He added to the number, first of all, but then he also added to the experience of being involved in a family like that. He was a farmer. He was a construction worker, an airplane mechanic. He was a soldier. He loved his country. He loved the men to serve his country. He loved the women to serve his country. It's been time to just stop and take time to talk to those people that serve his country. But more than that, I think more important to Jerry was he was a father. He was a husband. He was a brother, and a grandpa, great-grandpa, and most important to me, he was an uncle. those are several of the roles that he carried, and that were important to him. There was a lot of things that about Jerry that he loved to do. I can tell you, in front of all these witnesses here today, that Jerry was about as perfect a man as I'd ever come across. He didn't drink, he didn't cuss, he didn't smoke, didn't fight. We all know that's not true, right? I think that it would be an insult to Jerry's memory if I were to stand here and try to sanctify him or to canonize him in some way. I think it would be an insult to the intelligence of his family. But I'll tell you, when life was hard on Jerry, he'd cuss. And when it slapped him down, he'd fight. And when he got finished fighting and cussing, he might have just a little bit to drink and maybe a smoke to celebrate that. To celebrate the victory over the hardships of life. But isn't that something that we really loved about Jerry? I mean, just the way Jerry was. I know I did. I loved him like he was. And all the things that I listened, that I mentioned right there, they're things I've done. I'll probably do them again. He wasn't perfect. Neither am I. Neither are you. He was a man that lived his life. And doggone, if you're not living your life if sometimes you just can't raise a little hell. And I believe Jerry lived his life. I really do. He loved the garden. He liked farming. He kept a few chickens and raised some animals every now and then. And as a gardener myself, I can tell you that's hard work. And sometimes we really wonder why do we do it anyway, because all the weeds and then the lack of produce sometimes that we get. But I think it's the miracle that God does on that seed. When it creates a plant and then it creates fruit and you get to gather that and you share it with your loved ones. Or maybe the creation, the design that God had on an egg, for example, when it creates a new life out of something that was totally different. I think that's what Jerry loved about doing those things. And there are a lot of people that might say, well, why want to go through all that work, just go to the produce store or whatever. But it's the things that you love the most that you work the hardest for. And I believe you really enjoyed it. He liked music. I believe he was in a band when he was younger. I played the guitar with him and sang with him one time. It was just one song, and the song was "Help Me Make It Through the Night," and we played it behind my dad's house in his shop. And that was just a little bit of time. It was one song, just a little bit of time, but that little bit of time was a gift that Jerry gave me that nobody can take back. And every time I think of Jerry, and every time I think of things that we do with Jerry, I think of that song and I think about that time that we got to sit and sing that song together. And just to relax a little bit. I'm not going to sing it or anything because my wife says she would pass out if I did any of that. But I think right now, if you took a moment to think about Jerry and to maybe think about the times that you had with Jerry, you think about that one particularly special moment that you shared with him. And it may have been a pleasant moment that you had with him, and it's something you can look back on and smile. Or it may have been an unpleasant moment. But that unpleasant moment that Jerry shared with you is a chance to challenge you to do something different, to be different. I think that's something that he left for us. I think that's something he did with his life. I think that whether it was a pleasant experience or whether it was an unpleasant experience, he left us with something and he impacted this world in a way that's never going to be the same again since he was in it. I mentioned my thoughts turned to the vision of James standing in the driveway, and the story behind that is that I was actually passed James that afternoon as we were headed home from a visit with my mother and father, and saw James there, and I thought about stopping and talking with James. And you know, to be perfectly honest with you, I really didn't want to. I really didn't want to see Jerry in the condition that he was in, and I didn't want that to be my last memory of him. But James, as Grayson says, he always is. If you know him, you know he is. He let me off the hook. He said, "Ray, sometimes we just get caught living our lives." And you know what? I just heard in the vehicle on the way up here that these funerals are a great time for us to get together for a day, or to reconcile for a day, or to be happy for a day together and whatnot. But I think it's a challenge that Jerry has left us with here today also, is that we look around at our family members that are here today, and to take that minute, just like that minute in time that Jerry gave me. Take that minute and commit to yourselves to not lose touch, to put aside the differences, and to be the family that we really all want to be. I think that's the final impact that Jerry had on all of us, is that challenge. I thank you for listening.